Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to FebFest, the continuing day of light-hearted activities here at the University of Kent Music Department. My name's Dan Harding. I'm Head of Music Performance here, and welcome to this very special edition of Vinyl Countdown. This is our regular web show for anyone who hasn't watched it before, in which a group of panelists will be live in the virtual studio here with me, battling for your votes live on air for their favourite album to be nominated Album of the Week. And we'll be hearing from each of them in turn, enthusing about why the album is important to them, what it means to them. And then there'll be a discussion amongst everyone. And at the end of it, in about 40 minutes, I'll be asking you, the viewers, to vote live in order that we can declare one of our panelists winner as their album is voted Album of the Week. And as you're watching, do keep your comments coming in, your reactions, if you've been listening along to the albums that we posted in our playlist last week. So without further ado, let's crack on with the show. So first, sacrificial victim willingly entering the arena is Maddie. Welcome, Maddie.
Hi.
How's life with you? All right?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, good. Broadcasting live from the other side of the Swale, coming from Southend.
Yep.
Good, good. And you've taken time out of your 9 million virtual Zoom drama rehearsals and so on to be with us for the next 45 minutes.
Just for you, yeah.
That's very loyal. Thank you very much indeed, Madam Secretary, for joining us. Next in from the command bunker in deepest Hampshire is President of the Music Society this year, Mr. David Curtis. David, welcome.
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing?
Good, good. How's life with you?
Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad.
Good, good. And you've taken away, or you've taken time out from your, as we were saying just before we came on air, you're a bit sciencey.
Yeah, I think that's what we came to. Thanks again for that, Maddie. That was lovely.
Not wishing to dismiss your astronomy, physics, space science. Is there anything else that I missed?
Astrophysics. But...
Astrophysics. Okay, so quite a lot sciencey there.
I suppose.
But brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Welcome aboard.
That's okay.
And Carmen, welcome, Carmen.
Hey.
Madam Social Secretary, how's life with you? Busy in the world of drama?
Yeah, not bad. Made a paper plate for applied theatre. It's such a challenging degree. No, it's a good degree. It's not quite astrophysics, but yeah.
So you're a bit platey in the way that David's a bit sciencey.
Sure. Yeah. Crafty. That's the word.
Brilliant.
Crafty.
So hopefully, whoever wins Album of the Week can win your paper plate as their irreplaceable trophy.
I mean, I'd have to make another plate because I need that. It's very important. But, yeah. Sure. That could be arranged.
Well, that's only a one-off, is it? We'll have to find some other trophy, but welcome aboard. And Amy, welcome to the studio. Hi. Amy, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, enjoying the sun at last.
Good, good. And similarly, you've taken an hour away from the combined threat of both your literature degree and your drama. There's a joint degree you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Going well, thank you. And my reading week is this coming week, so it's all good. Good,
excellent. And finally into the studio, not competing for your votes, but sharing her pop punditry and her encyclopedic knowledge with us every week. Please welcome Sophie. Hooray!
Hi.
How's life with you? Are you ready to instruct us in the ways of pop music, madam?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Good. Right, so there we have our panel and our assembled guests. So as usual, we'll invite each one in turn into Speaker's Corner to share with us their designated album, and they have several minutes in order to enthuse you, the viewers at home, with their choice. So David, let's begin with your presidential authority, moving you into Speaker's Corner. So if you'd like to share with us and with the viewers, tell us what the album is you've chosen and why you've chosen it.
Will do. So my album this week is the album 22 A Million by Bon Iver. I really love this album. I think it's beautiful and complicated and strange, and there's moments of real, disarray and anger, but then there's also really, really beautiful moments where there's just not a lot going on. He has a really beautiful voice. Yeah, I think it has everything, and it's really, really interesting. I could go into like loads and loads of really cool, weird facts about the album, but I thought I'm a bit limited on time, so I was doing loads of reading up on it, and it's fascinating. There's so many cool things. Like particularly if you're interested in music production, I'd really recommend, if anyone is, go and do a bit of research, because there's some really cool. There was a good article I was reading earlier about all the fascinating things that they did. I think they created this new text that they could do with sound, like just for this album, because the first person ever to use it. But there are also other things like, so a lot of it was recorded on compact cassette, like really, because it's a 2016 album, so quite bizarre. But so that's actually the reason behind quite a lot of the, particularly in like the first track where you have like the really crackly and distorted sounds. So what they did was they recorded it, then they pulled it all apart, crumpled it up, and like wrote in it and did loads of weird stuff with it, and put it back in, and then recorded over it again. So you get this like really weird effects on it, and it happens like throughout the album quite a few times. So there's like loads and loads of cool things like that that you just, without going into it, you just sort of think, oh, that's quite strange. But yeah, I find it fascinating. Yeah, what does anyone else think of the album? I thought just bring up people.
Surprisingly, I loved it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. My listening. Bon Iver's one of those artists who I've never been keen on. I don't know if just some kind of prejudice. I don't know. Probably not really founded on much. Maybe just heard like one song and didn't like it, and blacklisted the band, which is something that I've been known to do. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was very kind of, there were dark elements, but then there were also really kind of settled moments, like you said, that were really beautiful. Yeah, and the vocals are fascinating. The melodies, really, really enjoyed them. Yeah.
Cool.
It's quite a sonically interesting album, isn't it? Lots of production details go on to give it the sort of the character. It's as though the studio is as much a part of the band as the band themselves, which I think you've said before.
Yeah, it's really fast. It comes from like a really, I think he spent 2 years beforehand. I think it took him 2 years to write the album. And he was like battling depression and stuff like that. He was having a really hard time. I think he just went to an island in Greece for a week and was just having a really bad time, and started writing some of these songs. And I think you can hear quite a lot of that in the lyrics and sort of performance, which is it's really interesting. And all of the names of the songs, so all of the numbers, because everyone, if no one knows the album or doesn't have the tracks in front of them, there's some weird names.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, actually.
Yeah, so like 22 over Zoom, the opening track. Apparently 22. There's an amazing amount of thought seems to go into it, and it's fascinating. As I say, it's fascinating to read into. So 22 is Justin Vernon, who's the lead singer of Bon Iver. 22 is his favourite number. So apparently he always sets his alarms for 22 minutes past the hour. That's just what he does. As a fun fact. Yeah.
It's all right if you've got to be somewhere at 1:15.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how he gets around that, but so stuff like that. And I think the number 2, I think is important to him, to do with like his connection between him and Earth or something like that. But it's all throughout the album. There's so much sort of personal connection between him and the music. As I say, I think it really comes through in the way that he performs and the lyrics he chooses. So yeah, I mean, and particularly most of his earlier stuff I think it's so different to it. It's completely understandable that someone could listen to his early stuff and then sort of, I don't know, push it aside and not bother with this. But as we were discussing earlier, actually, he worked with Kanye West I think 2012, 2013 time. So loads of his auto-tune stuff that he uses on this album he learned from working with Kanye West, and yeah, so you get loads of these cool influences that develops on from his earlier stuff. But there are also loads of folk movements, like in, as I read through my notes now that I made earlier.
So prepared.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why it's so interesting. It's a really, yeah, I love it a lot. It's a fantastic album. So yeah.
Fantastic, great, thank you. So there we are, David's recommendation, 22 a million. Okay, so next up in Speaker's Corner, Maddie, let's bring you across. So similarly to David, tell us, the viewers at home, the album that you've chosen and why you've chosen it.
Okay. So my album was Collapsed in Sunbeams by Arlo Parks. And I feel like a bit of a fraud, but genuinely, I saw her on Graham Norton like a couple weeks ago, and she sang the little song bit at the end. I can't even remember which one it was, but I was like, oh, that was really nice. So I went and found her album to listen to the whole thing, and I haven't stopped listening to it since. Like, it's been on pretty much non-stop in my room since I heard it. I just think it's so nice. It's just like, I think the way she writes is just really honest and open and like beautiful. Like, you can, like, I listen to the songs and like you can just like imagine the situation that she's singing about, and I just think there's something really beautiful about that. And I don't know, they're all quite calm and relaxing, and it's just a nice way to like listen to it and just like de-stress, and that's why I like the album a lot, I think. I just love it. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, that's great though, the fact that ever since you heard it, you've been listening to it non-stop. It obviously, if you'll forgive the musical pun, it obviously strikes a chord somewhere within you that it's a sonic universe or a musical soundscape that really appeals to you, is it?
Yeah, it must do. I mean, I genuinely had to stop listening to it to listen to the other album recommendations for this week, and then I went straight back to it and started playing it again. Like, I don't know, I don't know why. Just especially Caroline, the song Caroline on it. Oh, I'd listen to that on repeat. I don't know. It's just about a couple having an argument, but I'm like, oh yeah. I don't know. It's a vibe. That's all I can say.
There is I mean, you're right. I hadn't known this album before you chose it, and there's a wonderful lyrical sense to it. That second song, there's a kind of profound melancholy is the only way that I can describe it somehow. It's, as you say, it's very beautiful, it's very lyrical, but it's very moving at the same time, and to sort of pack all that into the short space of time that the song occupies, it's really effective and a wonderful songwriting skill. I think it really sort of comes out at you and grabs hold of you, doesn't it? It's very effective.
And I love a song or an album that can change your mood like that. That's like one of my favorite things. Like when I find a good album, it's usually because it can, make, go from stress to like really chilled or anxious to like.
I think loads of the songs have like, they're all on one level in a way. Like they all make sense together, but each one has like not a different emotion, but it's not like a album where you're like, oh, I'll listen to this and be sad, or I'll listen to this and it'll make me really happy. It's just like everything combined in one. I can't explain it, but it's
incredibly rich. Yeah. I think it feels very honest, and like you're almost reading her diary. She just feels so open, which I really responded to when I listened to it, for sure. Really nice. Yeah. Yes,
there's a sort of a nice kind of almost that confessional thing that we've talked about on this program before, that the fact that the artist kind of invites you into their personal space and really makes you a part of the whole odyssey that they go through, and they take you with them somehow. I think as Maddie, you said, that kind of openness and that honesty is very striking, isn't it? And it sort of demands that you make the journey with them as you travel through that album. No, it was something that I hadn't heard before. So fantastic. Thank you, Maddie. So that was Maddie's nomination, Collapsed in Sunbeams by Arlo.
10 out of 10, would recommend.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. So next into Speaker's Corner, Carmen, let's bring you across. Similarly, tell us what you've chosen and why it's important to you.
Cool. So I picked quite a shift in mood, the Fame Monster by Lady Gaga. And where do I start with this album? Okay, I was clearing out my room at the end of second year, got my room back at home, and I found a little notebook that had a Christmas list from 2009, and it had a bunch of random things in it and everything, and then it said Fame Monster CD, and then underneath it said CD player, because I realized that I was like, I want this, and then, wait, I don't even have a CD player, so I got a CD player because of Lady Gaga, I guess, I suppose. But so that's kind of gives you straight away a sort of what this album means to me, a little bit like what you were talking about with Blondie on a previous episode, Sophie. But it's just so good. It's like okay, wait, let me I'm just like the Stan is emerging. Okay, so she released The Fame a year before, back in 2008, and that was her first album, and then she re-released the album but called it The Fame Monster with 8 tracks at the start, which is why when I said The Fame Monster, the deluxe UK edition, there's these 8 tracks at the start, and then the second disc, which is The Fame, which is the first one. And if you look at it, it's just like there's just so many iconic songs on it, like just bop after bop, quite honestly. Like there's Bad Romance, Alejandro, Telephone, Paparazzi, Poker Face, Just Dance, what else, so many. I mean, they're like the big commercial ones with the fantastic music videos as well. Like Kelly and I used to be on YouTube watching, my sister Kelly, we used to really enjoy watching all the really fun, exciting music videos. And when Lady Gaga released a new music video, it would always be like, what is she going to do next? Is she going to crawl out of some weird alien thing, or is she going to, it's really kind of, that's what that means for me. But then the whole, it's just I'm just looking at the track list here, sorry, on my phone, but it's just, it's so, I love Lady Gaga, not sure if you could tell. And so when you sort of invited me back onto the show, I was like, I'm going to do a Lady Gaga album. And then it became, okay, well, which Lady Gaga album? Because they're all like really good, I think. Biased, I don't know. And yeah, I think this one, it's really the moment I think she really solidified herself as like an icon, you know what I mean, in the sort of 2010s and then all the way throughout, and she's still around and still making incredible music, with Chromatica last year, which I almost picked but I didn't, and she's won an Oscar, and it's just really, I'm just very happy Lady Gaga fan, basically. But I mean, and then coming back to this album and re-listening to it, I think you have these albums that always stick with you and you always listen to it every now and again, but to really sit down and listen to the whole thing in its entirety, it's just been really nice the past, since I picked it for this, because as I said, there are all the really big songs, the really iconic moments, within the album, but then there are like bits where she gets way more sort of rocky, with Speechless, for example. Which actually, and that song is about her. It's actually about her father when he had cancer, and he didn't want to have the chemotherapy, and she was like, "I'll never. You literally left me speechless." So it's kind of like would you give it all up? It's like kind of there's like this depth to her. Like it can be very superficial surface with Lady Gaga, but there's a lot going on really within her own songs and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. And then Brown Eyes as well. That's a great song. I love Brown Eyes. Again, that's another like a change of gear for her, and then how she plays with sort of different sound effects and everything in her more electro tracks and stuff. It's just a great time, really. I just love it. I don't know. Is there anything else I need to say about it, really? It's just a great album. Yeah.
I mean, it's How about you guys? When you were all listening to this, either did you know it beforehand, or was it new to you? How were your reactions on this monstrous album when you were listening to it?
It was very long.
Fair.
Like,
I thought yours was a bit
yeah.
long as well, so that's fine.
So only a third of the length, to be fair. But I think an hour and a half? I thought was quite ambitious. Like, I wouldn't sit down and listen to the full 90 minutes. I don't think. Like as you'd say, like there are some amazing tracks in it that are iconic and phenomenal. But I don't know, it was very long. If I'm honest, it was, yeah.
I found it like a quite nostalgic experience for some of the tracks. I've never been like a huge mega fan of Lady Gaga, but all of my friends loved her stuff. So there are some tracks where I was like, oh wow, this like really takes me back. And yeah, about the music videos as well. It's fantastic. That's something to do. If you haven't ever watched Lady Gaga music videos and you're bored one evening, just binge them. They're an absolutely amazing experience.
How about you, Maddie?
I mean, I think I had the same response as Amy. I was just like feeling like I was like 10 years ago. I was having a great time with the Lady Gaga songs. But yeah, I've never watched a music video though, so I feel like I should do that now.
Some catching up to do, as long as you're not doing that when you're supposed to be doing your coursework, obviously.
Well,
and I think it was what I like about Lady Gaga is that she kind of keeps you guessing, doesn't she? 1 minute she's sort of Christina Aguilera-esque, then the next minute she's Britney Spears-esque, and then the next minute she's kind of Madonna-esque. And it feels kind of going through that album that she was being different people as a way of keeping her fans at arm's length and saying, you'll never really know me, because she sort of plays with celebrity, doesn't she, and the idea of fame and sincerity and so on. And I definitely felt listening through to this album that it was very much her kind of chameleon-esque, like kind of moving through these different things and actually sort of playing with the idea of what it means to be a celebrity and to be famous and so on, in a way that felt very kind of postmodern. What's my real identity? You'll never know. I'll keep changing and keep you guessing. I didn't really expect to be using the word postmodern in one of these sessions quite so early on. Sorry about that. I don't know where that came from.
But I suppose what you're saying about her keeping you guessing, it really, if you've not listened to the rest of her albums afterwards, there's slightly, Born This Way is kind of a continuation. It feels, it gets rockier and louder, and bigger and busier in a way. That might take it out of you a little bit. But then art pop goes like very strange. And then she took a break because apparently the industry hated art pop. And then she did a bunch of jazz songs with Tony Bennett. And then didn't do anything until Joanne, which is country rock, really different sound. And then obviously Star Is Born, and now she's come back to the sort of electro dance roots that she's, that is the fame monster, really. So it is really interesting how she's shifted kind of through the 2010s with every album and things. So,
and that can be quite challenging for fans, can't it? Because we've said before, we like the idea of pigeonholing something, and if we like it, we return to them because we like what they do. We want more of the same. So to keep changing your sound and so on actually is in some ways quite a challenge, because you don't necessarily take some of your fans with you. Because if they liked what you did before and then you've reinvented yourself, a bit like Radiohead when they did OK Computer and then Kid A, the difference between the two was really quite extreme, and the second one being much more sort of techie and the first one being much more sort of anthemic rock, and suddenly there was a danger that you lose all the listenership you built up because you've reinvented yourself and explored some new direction in your music and left some of the fans behind. That's not an argument for not doing it, but it is a danger, I think.
I think it's a brave choice, but also all of the bands that we kind of remember as big, interesting bands are those bands who change their style and take drastic risks. Like, I'm not going to. If you like Catfish and the Bottlemen, great, good. I'm happy for you and that. I used to really like the band, but they are an example of a band who have their sound and stick to it because they know it works and they know their fans like it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does mean that their songs and albums can blur. I haven't actually listened to them as of late, so they might have done something. They might have taken a new direction, I'm not sure. But that's just an example of like where those risks are like really important, I think, in music.
We might suddenly find their latest album is a sort of techno trance dance
might be,
extravaganza.
And then I'll have to make a public apology.
We'll save that for another episode then, Amy. Brilliant. So thank you. So last up, have we done everyone?
No.
Amy.
No, it is Amy. Yes, sorry. It's been a long day. Yes. So finally, Amy, into Speaker's Corner. So your turn. So again, tell us what album you've chosen and why you've chosen it.
Lovely. Yeah. So I've chosen an album called Oh My Heart by Mother Mother, who are a band that's based in Vancouver, and they're called an indie rock band, but I think they're another one of those bands that really can't be defined because of the amount of genres that are put into just one song, let alone an album or whatever. And yeah, it's their second album. Their first album kind of had like a country spin on it, and this one it's fantastic. There's 5 members in the band and 3 singers. So there's the lead singer, the lead guy. I know, same Rona. They have 3 singles on this album, including, goodness me, Hayloft, Body, and another one. I'll find it in a sec. But yeah, there's the lead singer, the front man, and 2 female backing singers, and they sing at the same time, and they create this like awesome blend, which is chaotic and punky and beautiful. One of the female singers has this like ethereal high kind of voice, which is just like luscious to listen to. And yeah, it has like a mixture of rocky kind of dancey tracks like Hayloft, and then quieter soft ones, and then really dark angsty ones. And it's such a ride, I think, like experiencing that album from beginning to end. And yeah, no, it was difficult to choose it because the album that I was really obsessed with, Ghost, thank you, and Ghosting, am I getting it wrong?
Ghosting. No, it's
Ghosting.
Ghosting. So not last summer, but the summer before, I was absolutely hooked on the album after that. No, Eureka. I can't remember where that comes in their chronology, which is far more upbeat and crazy. And that was the album that I was really hooked on. But then I think I might have listened to it a bit too much. I listened to it pretty much only that album for the whole summer. And I did one trip up to Canterbury and back, and I just had that album playing the whole way here and the whole way back. And I loved it. It was like, it didn't get old until it kind of did. But now I'm getting back and listening to it, and I'm loving it again. So I think I just needed a couple of months off. But yeah, I decided on this album in the end just because I thought it was more musically interesting, and there was more of a mix of genre and ideas. And yeah, as Dan was saying, it kind of often has this like happy initial feeling to the music because of the upbeat elements and all of the instrumentation, and then quite dark lyrics. And I was just thinking about this earlier, actually. I don't think the lyrics of albums really hit me until I've listened to it like a lot. First, I get the kind of genre, the different bits of funky like lines which you wouldn't expect, and then probably on like the 30th listen or something, finally I'll start hearing the words, and then I'll have something else to get excited about. But yeah, really interesting album. I'd thoroughly recommend it to anybody who likes, you know, rock, punk, indie, yeah, any of that kind of music.
It is quite sort of eclectic, isn't it? It was a great album to listen to, just in terms of a lot going on. A bit like David's choice, you know, there was quite a lot going on that it sort of took several listens and so on, and some sort of stylistic diversity. But it was great. I really enjoyed it as well. So
I'm glad.
Thank you to all of our panelists who presented it. Sophie, as the independent, impartial panelist who has waded through all the albums this week, how were they for you? Were there some that you were finding for the first time, some you'd heard before? How did you get on?
So I didn't know any of the albums at all. All of the people, all the artists I knew of. Bon Iver, I believe it's pronounced. Having looked up on my usual Wikipedia hunt and everything, it's from when he used to watch. What's the one about the policeman in Alaska? Due South. And when the first snows happen in Alaska, they say Bon Iver, meaning good winter. But you drop the H. Apparently.
Oh, of course.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so often, so you know, in that way that Spotify and all these kind of algorithms want to suggest people based on your listening, Bon Iver's often on these lists. And a bit like Amy, I think it was Amy that said it, you know, you listen to the odd track and I'm terrible. If it doesn't instantly grab me, I just kind of go, no, that's not for me. No, kind of thing. And I'm afraid Bon Iver was in that ballpark. But then I listened to this album and I went, well, hang around. That's not what I was given earlier. It slightly made me chuckle listening to it because I went, oh yeah, look, David Curtis, here we go again. There's layers and layers of sound and busy stuff, you know, hourly going on, you know, and really, obviously really clever stuff. But like the Jacob Collier, it's not unauthentic as a result of that. You know how some stuff, it's so in the front of their mind when they're making it and they're trying to be so clever that it kind of disengages you somehow. And those, you know, this is not like this at all. I loved it. I really loved it. A couple of tracks I instantly went, oh, Sufjan Stevens. I don't know if any of you know him. Like Come On Feel the Illinois. It's really like that kind of these layers and funny noises coming in and out. And of course, they're from a similar neck of the woods. I think he's from Illinois. So, you know, is it Wisconsin this guy's from?
Yeah, I think so.
There's kind of probably some overlap there. I really enjoyed it. And there's that driving beat. And of course, I can't tell you what the track is called because you write 10D, eat, EAT, the second one.
I think, yeah.
That distorted kind of driving beat. I was listening to it last night in the kitchen. I was cooking my dinner, my tea, as they say in Scotland. And I was going, oh, what's that? What's that? There's another track. There's another track. There's another track. And there's a Bjork track called 5 Years on Homogenic, which has got exactly the same distorted. It's not done exactly the same way, but the same sound, exactly the same sound. And I was like that, oh, it's a track that I really love. And Dan can't hate because it's quite, I think, what do you call it? Industrial, ugly, something like that.
I might have used those words.
But I love it because of the lyrics. It's really great kind of feministy lyrics, which I rather love. Anyway, no, I totally loved the album. I'm not sure I've got much more to say on. I mean, you said it was an auto tune a vocoder, isn't it, kind of thing? And it
uses loads.
Yeah, and the way his voice sounds through it reminds me of when Neil Young did it. Do you remember that, Dan? No. Neil Young did an album a lot with vocoder and stuff back in the 70s.
Okay.
I don't know what the difference between a vocoder and an auto-tune thing is. Are they the same thing?
It's like a vocal effect, isn't it? A vocoder.
Yeah. But like in the 70s, Herbie Hancock did it as well.
Yeah.
Probably much to Dan's disgust.
I guess. Do you like sing it into a vocoder rather than put it in like post? And then
well, I mean, when I saw Neil Young do it, he'd do it live. I wasn't there. I mean, on telly watching a live set. It was obviously done as he sang into it, and then it was distorted in the kind of, because he did it live as well. Anyway, that's a bit dull. Sorry about that, folks.
That's what's David, the album that you chose last time, Jacob Collier, he did that. He sings into it and changes the sound live with the keyboard while he's into it.
That was an instrument that he developed with someone he works with. He actually built that instrument himself. I think it's a vocalizer. It's called, which is really cool. Yeah, it's really interesting. Just what I remember. Sorry, just about this album this week. Another thing that I really loved as a saxophonist myself was the use of saxophones and horns in the album. I thought it was, unlike other folk or electronic stuff, I thought it was so well implemented, and the effects and everything that they used on it were, it was so fascinating to listen to and try and work out what was going on. And that's another fun fact about it. Apparently, the saxophone group that they used is called Sad Sacks of Shit.
Oh yes, I saw that.
Which I loved so much. I thought
another
it was
reason
amazing.
To love them.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I thought it was so good. It's one of my favourites. I just wanted to throw that one in there. Just.
I love how you kept that. That's the most stirring fact of the whole episode so far, and you kept it till last.
I know. I was trying to find a way to put it back in, and I completely forgot about it when I was talking earlier. So I was like, "Well, we're there now. I need to."
Definitely gains at a point, surely.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
So Arlo Parks has definitely been on my radar. I went listening for her a couple of months ago, actually. She came up on something. I don't think it was Graham Norton, but it was something else. Anyway, listening to this album, I was going, again, vocals. Who does it remind me of? And I thought it was Kate Nash for a minute. And then I realized it's Corinne Bailey Rae. Do you not think that kind of, do you know who I mean, Corinne Bailey Rae?
No.
No.
Girl, put your records on.
Oh, yeah.
So the vocal, the sound of the voice is really similar, and the way that's very slight, really pretty croak in it and stuff is really, I mean, I think she's exceptional. Obviously she does identify as a poet as well. And I think it's just instantly obvious. And I absolutely love that kind of distilled nature of the language, and that within 2 sentences or like a couple of words, you've instantly got something in your head, haven't you? You've got a picture, you've got a scene, and I was looking down the tracks list, and I went, Black Dog, God, I wonder if that means black dog. You like Churchill got the black dog, meaning depressed, and it is exactly what it means. And it's just this really lovely, frank, immediate story about a friend with depression. I mean, it's extraordinary. I don't really have a lot to say about the music in the background. I mean, the tunes are very pretty, but there's nothing like David's multi-layered kind of wizardry going on or anything like that. It's just lovely, really
it's
lovely.
Just lovely.
Yeah, and it's a bit. A lot of it feels not. I mean, it's not like the Tom Misch album, but you do immediately get a kind of mellow, sunny feel from it, even when the lyrics are quite, a bit kind of, "Ooh, are you going to be all right?" Kind of thing. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, Mother. Okay, so I had heard of them, but again, I hadn't really listened to it. I think somebody had said, "Oh, I think you'd like them." So, and I really enjoyed the album. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
loved it.
I'm so glad.
Really loved it. I mean, it's I'm going to be really annoying. Everything reminds me of something else. But it really, I said to Dan, instantly made me think of Arcade Fire. Does anybody know
that's really strange because I really dislike Arcade Fire.
Ah, right, yeah. I mean, I only really knew their first album, Funeral. I got that when that came out, kind of thing. And then I didn't like the next album so much, and I kind of just, they dropped off me. And I don't know what it was. I think it was just something harmonically reminded me of them. Yeah, I think there's some really clever stuff. I mean, I think some of the lyrics are a bit, Am I allowed to
yeah.
sing It's Silly?
Yeah, no,
Like, hey,
definitely.
loft,
Hey,
my
loft
daddy's got
is-
a gun, my daddy's got a, but I mean, that's fine. It can be what it is. I mean, the one thing that really I've written down actually is like Sleep Awake, use of the bass clarinet. Love it. I love it. You just go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And it's so obviously a bass clarinet, and it's not hidden by anything else. It's allowed to just, so, for in pop music, or I suppose you're not allowed to call it pop music, but I mean that in a very umbrella sense, popular music. It's really nice and inventive. And again, not self-regarding about it. Is that the word I want?
I was going to say they're a very like self-aware group. Like they kind of take the mick out of what they do quite a lot. So they're aware that their lyrics are simplistic in Hey Loft, and they kind of push that, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and so I mean that's another side that performers can be like, isn't it? They can take the mickey out themselves and know they're being flip or whatever kind of thing. It's just, but it's not taking itself seriously, which I always think is a big problem in music. The minute it becomes too self-aware, you're just divorced from it, and it doesn't take you anywhere in a meaningful way. Lady Gaga, not sure what to say. No. I don't know. I mean, I know the singles, and that's kind of it. And I like her very much as a person. When I see her interviewed and stuff, I read about her, and I think she's extremely ballsy and all those great things. And I like the tunes. The tunes are great, but I was a little bit disappointed with the lyrics when I went going in. I expected more. It's not because they would say, "Oh, they're rubbish lyrics." I don't mean that. But they're a bit vague in the way that the Arlo Parks are not, which are so distilled, and these are kind of a little bit vague. And so you sometimes had to, like, when you get in like some of these websites where they tell you what the song's about or what the performer, the artist has said it's about. And I was going, oh, is that what it's about? Oh, right. Okay. It wasn't obvious from the lyrics. But I mean, it's great pop. I mean, Poker Face and all those, that kind of big, wide synth sound, which I always in my head call Europop, because that's how it's kind of, I think originally, back in the kind of late 80s, early 90s. And it makes me laugh about dance music, because that big Europop synth sound just hasn't changed in about 30 years. I find it really weird. Young kids listening to it like it's brand new, and you're like, yeah, that just sounds exactly this. Even some of the chords, you're like, oh, right, okay. But no, I mean, I love it. What can you say? It's like in Madonna. I mean, she's exactly in that mold, the kind of changing and evolving, David Bowie,
oddly
Madonna,
elusive.
they all do it. And that when you were talking about the changing and the moving on, and whether you take your fans with you, all I can think of is that famous concert in the Manchester Trade Hall where Bob Dylan came on in the 60s and started playing amplified instruments, and the whole audience just went bananas because he was selling out the folk acoustic stuff, and you just hear them all start going, whoa, And if you have never seen that video, go and search for it. It's hilarious. Anyway, that's my summary. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. Well done.
I think, I mean, as you were saying, Steve, the music you hear always reminds you of something else.
Yeah,
and
sorry about that.
I didn't know the Arlo Parks, and when I started listening to it, about 3 or 4 tracks in, I'd forgotten what I was listening to because I had it on in the background while I was working, and I suddenly paid attention to it again and thought, have I started listening to? Is this by Billie Eilish? Is there It seemed to me there was some slight element of Billie Eilish about it. I mean, I don't know if that's, Maddie, if that's true for you, but I just felt there was just somehow that kind of intimate singing right up close to the microphone, very melancholic. Something about it reminded me of her.
Yeah, I can see the similarities a bit. I don't really think they're that similar, because I just think there's a crispness to Arlo Parks that Billie Eilish maybe doesn't have. But I do really like Billie Eilish, so that kind of makes sense that they would be similar.
Yeah,
in that way.
yeah. I mean,
it's yeah.
Sorry,
I think maybe stylistically, with regards to how soft singing has kind of come into popular music in the last like 2 years with, you know, people like Billie Eilish. Maybe that would be the similarities. You know, the sort of like, because I think for a while it was you have to be a belter, you know, in pop music and things like that, and then there's Billie Eilish and Arlo that completely subvert that, and they have this very whispering, very intimate sound coming out instead, which is really refreshing, I think. But,
yeah. No, there was something kind of, one of the songs had a kind of lovely, as somebody said earlier, you know, very, very kind of summery feel and to it when it began, and I like. And there's that lovely line, wouldn't it be lovely to feel something for once in hurt? You know, I think it's, Sophie, what you were picking up on, the idea of the lyrics being almost like poetry. I feel that about someone like Joni Mitchell or something, where the crafting of the words is equally as important as the crafting of the melodic line. But when it comes to Mother, I found that album really, there was a kind of weird dissonance, because it was really kind of jolly and cheerful and amiable, and yet he's singing about putting his fist through a plate glass window, and you had that wonderful unsettling kind of contradiction between the sort of cheerful amiable rock and him singing about something quite dark. And I didn't mind that. I quite liked it, you know, the sort of contradiction between what you're hearing and what the song is about. Is that something that you for you, Amy? Did you feel that?
Yeah, and that's also something that I love. I mean, like, I used to be a very big fan of 21 Pilots, and they very much do the same thing. Have a very jolly tune with something very dark underneath. But I just think it's recognizing form and content and then subverting it, which is just always gonna float my boat.
And one of them's even got banjos on it. It starts with banjos, doesn't it? And so it's a very kind of seaside summery feel. And I apologies for any banjo players who might be watching. The banjo sets my teeth on edge. But somehow at the start of this track in the background, it didn't matter. It had that very kind of seaside summery, a bit like Seaside Rendezvous on the Queen album that you had a couple of weeks ago. You know, similarly that kind of summery feel and so on. So I didn't mind that.
So banjos for me are totally different. I'm totally good at Deliverance. When I hear dueling banjos, I'm in a totally different ballpark than you.
And there's also that sort of muted trumpet that comes in.
I love that.
Tracks. It works really well. Again, that sort of the stylistic change between things, and the orchestration, a bit like which was David's choice. You know, talking about the different instrumentation that's used and the different colours and the hilariously named saxophone group and the bass clarinet that comes in on the Mother album and so on. It's about sort of changing and finding different instrumental textures, isn't it? I think. But then the Lady Gaga is so boisterous, isn't it? It's so in your face pop and very direct and very challenging and very, this is who I am, and it doesn't matter what you think, you know, take it or leave it and so on. But then she's written for people as well, hasn't she? There's one on the album that she wrote for Britney Spears that Britney Spears didn't take up, so she sings it herself. So
Telephone.
Is that which one? I can't remember which one it is now, but there was one that she'd written for somebody else. So yeah, I mean, she's very, as you say, yes, she's very, very creative. You know, lots of strings to her bow and so on. And there's that mixture between sort of big rocky albums and then the sort of electro dance albums and then sort of power ballads and so on. I liked the sort of the way the album worked, particularly. It was this week's choices were quite hard for me because there was something in all of them that I really enjoyed, you know, whether it's the intimate melancholy of the Arlo Parks and so on. So as we draw near to the end of the show, this is my opportunity to say to the live viewers watching it, you need to start voting in the comments whichever platform you're watching on, so that we can actually designate one of our guests as winner with their album chosen as album of the week. And just as a quick recap for everyone, David's nomination is 22 A Million by Bon Iver or Bon Iver, depending on which part of the show you were listening to earlier. Carmen's nomination is the epic Fame Monster by Lady Gaga. Then you've got the contradictory indie, or however it might be, of Amy's nomination, Mother's Oh My Heart. And then that kind of poetic melancholy of Maddie's choice of Arlo Parks' Collapsed in Sunbeam. What's that?
She just went.
Great album.
Here we are. Lady Gaga's, for me, very nostalgic and reminds me of childhood, but Mother is something I love now. Tricky one. That's yes, it is. It's quite hard.
Just split the difference and go for Bon Iver.
Arlo Parks.
That's my dad. Oh, God.
Surely.
Well, this goes on a
Horrific.
super-
Thanks, Dad. Thanks.
A young lady of impeccable inherited musical taste.
There we go.
I'm sensing
God.
that there might be a family connection there, Carmen. Is that
I don't know. I don't know Greg Mackey. No, I'm joking.
Inherited musical tastes. Have you inherited your musical tastes from your dad? Then is that right?
Well, he'd like to think so, I'm sure.
So your dad's into burlesque.
No, he's a good one. Thanks, Dad.
So we've got a choice between Lady Gaga and Mother, and then we have a very unbiased view asking us to vote for Carmen again, and then Rona's joined in. Lady Iconic and Nostalgic, Mother are my favourite. It's got to be Oh My Heart. Right.
Thank you very much, Rona. Counting on your vote.
So Sophie, as have you been checking these off as we go along? Just to
yes. So we've got one for each. We've got a Mother, and we've got a Lady Gaga. No Arlo Parks or Bon Iver yet. And
my mum. Wow.
There's your mum as well. Okay, there we go. So you get 2, and Mother gets 1.
Lady Fame Monster. I've been brainwashed. Is that brainwashed by you, Carmen, or by your dad?
No, that would be me probably in the car and stuff. Let's listen to this.
Oh, there's another one for Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, romping ahead.
Fast now. What's the scores at the moment?
I've got 3 for Lady Gaga and 1 for Mother.
Right.
Do you get a vote?
Sorry,
Sophie?
Arlo Parks and Bon Iver. Huh?
Do you get a vote, Sophie?
I don't know. Do I get a vote? I don't know.
You could
do you know? I was thinking. I mean, I really like all of them. Yeah, I mean, I would keep most of them, even on my playlist this week. I really would. But I think if I'm going to be honest, the one album that when I put it on again, I went, oh yeah. And I instantly kind of recognized the track and everything like that. So I suppose if that got my vote, it would be the Bon Iver. Sorry. The disappointment. But there's just something about that album I just really, really like. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't expect that. It felt like I set it up then.
But I like all the when you started talking about it, I was like, oh, it's all kind of deconstructed and blah, 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 blah. And, I don't know. That's just, I really like it.
Cool.
But then I love Suckin' Stevens. So I suppose it's in the same kind of sound world for me kind of thing. So.
Right.
Shall I give that one vote then? There we go. One.
I listened to Bon Iver and Mother back to like one after the other. So it was. I was like, oh yeah, I got some listening to do. Okay, and then it was like, oh my gosh, it was like an overwhelming.
Yeah, they really are.
I think it was Bon Iver first. I listened to. I don't even know anymore. But it was so like both of them back to back was just a lot because they both go. Multi-genre, multi-instrument. It's crazy. So what a wild ride.
You're so welcome, Carmen.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Sophie,
what we're here for.
after you've included your impartial vote, then who's the winner?
I'm afraid it's Lady Gaga, ladies and gentlemen, romping ahead with 3 votes.
Congratulations to Carmen. So it's your choice has been voted album of the week.
And so for that, I think she needs to show us her poker face.
Sorry, Ron,
Dan, do you get a vote?
No,
Yeah.
I remain resolutely impartial.
But hypothetically, if you did have a vote,
Who would it be for?
Hypothetically, if I did have a vote, it's difficult because I feel part of me feels I should vote for Maddie's choice on the grounds that nobody else has.
I don't want your pity votes, Dan. Don't
So
insult me like that.
Now my vote has been thrown back at my feet. No, it's difficult this week because there was something that I really liked about all of them. You know, the diversity of it and the different listening and it was, as I said to Sophie a couple of days ago, listening to the manipulation of the voice on the Bon Iver album. Somehow I occasionally feel that the use of vocoder and autotune actually makes things more impersonal, but this time it actually made it much more. There was much more of a sort of emotional connection with it, even though the vocal line had been treated like that. I don't know why that is, but somehow treating it electronically made it more appealing rather than less.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was fascinating to listen to, particularly when I first discovered it. It was brand new. Fascinating, particularly for like as we were saying, like the mash of genres and stuff. So much going on. Yeah.
So anyway, there we are. Thank you, viewers at home, for watching, and those of you in the Mackey household who have voted. Congratulations to Carmen, who has swept the board this week with her nomination, The Fame Monster by Lady Gaga. Thank you to my guests, to Amy, to Sophie, and to Carmen, and to David, and to Maddie for coming into the studio and braving the public-facing nature of talking to the viewers at home and convincing them for whom to vote. But thank you very much for watching. We're back again next Thursday when Vinyl Countdown returns, and rumour has it will feature my colleague Ian Swatman amongst the panel. So no surprises for guessing what album Ian might be choosing. But the listening list will go up tomorrow, so you keep an eye out for that. So for everyone who's been watching at home and for viewing, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you next time.